And I guess that's part of the, perhaps a slightly wider look at storage consolidation and optimization. Again, I know it's the sort of holy grail over the years, you know, to optimize the storage environment, and storage management is a critical part of that.
Very much so. It's a huge part of it. And that's why we put a lot of emphasis on developing a storage platform or storage platforms that were object storage based. Because one of the, you know, some of the greatest attributes of object storage is the ability, first of all, it can scale very large. You know, the traditional file system can no longer handle that because of the amount of content and the number of files and all that exists, the number of objects nowadays. But more important than that is the ability to add metadata to the content, because it makes it much easier to search and find the data, the assets that you have, because people come and go. They don't remember the file names, they don't remember the infrastructure, the directory naming and stuff like that. So you have to be able to provide tools where people can search assets based on keywords that comes to mind when they're looking for something. So we put tremendous amount of, you know, emphasis, and we've done tremendous amount of development in having storage platforms that brings these attributes to the end user so they can better manage and find their content they've got. Another important aspect of object storage is because it decouples the storage and the data from the application, then you can do a lot of very intelligent stuff behind the scene in the background. You can make sure that the content is safe and perpetuated, and if you need to move it somewhere else and create new copies, you can do that. If the value of the content, if it's not being accessed as often, and the access pattern slows down, then maybe you can change its location to another lower cost tier. If you see a spike in access pattern, then maybe you can rehydrate it to a more faster performing storage medium. So those are the kind of things that you can do. And these are the kind of things that we've put a lot of emphasis on to bring more abstraction and intelligence basically to storage, so that you make sure that the content, the asset is available to the end user when they want to do something with it. And that's a huge thing moving forward, especially, you know, when coupled with how much data, how much content we're creating day in and day out.
And another piece of the jigsaw, I guess, is the hybrid IT infrastructure. So you explained a little bit about how people are consolidating and optimizing storage, and I guess if it was all in-house, that'd be nice and easy and neat, but clearly people are using on-premise, colo, cloud, and all the rest of it.
Yes.
So that is actually adding sort of more complexity, I guess, to the storage environment and management. So how can people get their brains around that, I guess, and you help?
That was well, if there's one thing that COVID did, boy, did it woke everybody up, that we now live in a different world where we have to be able to work remotely from different places. And there are different values to each of those. On-prem storage has tremendous amount of value in terms of cost and access and all that. But then there are other, you know, factors that play into that. We now live in a world where people can work more and more remotely from their home offices or from different places. A lot of, in media and entertainment, a lot of contractors work from remote places. We no longer rely on people that are just in the city or in the office. They could be in different country, in different time zone. They need access to that. And then there's also the issue of cloud. You know, there are a lot of value to the cloud. Clouds offer certain values. So you want to have an infrastructure that takes advantage of all of this, that also makes the content available to people, whether they are local or remote. You want to take advantage of all the great attributes of whether it is remote or on-prem or cloud and all that. So that's another huge area where we've put quite a bit of emphasis on, where you have to have a storage infrastructure that adhere to the need of the business and deal with all these needs. If it makes sense to do rendering in the cloud, then maybe storage platforms should seamlessly put the content in the cloud so you can take advantage of that. If the access is a lot greater from on-prem and they need faster access, then maybe you want to have certain content on-prem or all your content on-prem to make sure that you have that. Maybe, while clouds are useful in terms of different services they offer, and you want to have your content out there, maybe having a copy of your content on-prem and use that as a leverage against the rising costs of cloud and all that, that would be another advantage. So the hybrid model moving forward is the model that everybody is looking at. And I believe also that is the model that's going to become very dominant in the industry. People are going to look at an infrastructure that gives them that flexibility to be able to take advantage of their on-prem capabilities and values, as well as the cloud, and as well as being able to make that content available to everybody. We hear it again and again that having data centers in multiple locations around the world is going to be very costly, and it is costly. So being able to have a centralized data center and a centralized control over all your asset, but having virtual offices, virtual studios, and all that to tap into this central repository of asset and content and all that is the trend moving forward. What we have to do is, I was talking about abstractions and intelligence. In order to make that possible, we have to do that. We have to create that abstraction, and we have to add that intelligence to it in order to be able to support this new hybrid model. And we're doing quite a bit of work in that area to make sure that we stay in tune with our customers' need and the market shift in the industry.
As part of that hybrid landscape, there's been a lot of talk for the last couple of years about the edge computing. I'm intrigued. I haven't actually read or seen too much about sort of edge storage. I mean, is that a new breed or are existing products and technologies all well and good for that? And I know, apart from anything else, edges mean different things to people, but I'm talking about maybe, small modular edge data centers, whatever, what kind of storage they need. Any thoughts on that?
So, edge computing and all that, obviously that's a clear term that everybody understands. Storage is a little bit different, but when you look at how we work in today's market, in these times, there are people that are working everywhere. And the important thing is what really matters ultimately is to make sure whether they are local or remote, that they have access to the content that they need when they need it. So the most important thing is to break the traditional link that exists between the user accessing content and to where the actual data is. So whether that makes, that answers your question regarding edge sort of makes sense or not, but the most important thing is sometimes certain application, they may need the storage to be local to them. The storage infrastructure is going to have to make sure that it has the capability to deliver that content to them when they need to. But there are also a lot of tools now available where you can access and do whatever it is that you're trying to do remotely. For example, virtual desktops. That's a big trend that is happening in the industry, and to be able to do what you want to do from remote location. But there are other applications that they need the content to be at the local level. The storage platform has to be able to support that. So a lot of development that we're doing hones on that need as well too, where the most important thing is to make sure regardless of where the users are, they can access the content when they need it. And if it needs to be delivered to them at the local level, then the application has to do that. So we definitely are honing on that need as well. Hopefully I answered that question.
No, that's fine. As I say, because the edge, it's a sort of movable feast, isn't it? It means an edge can be quite a big data center, just not maybe central to where your business is, or it can be, as I say, a sort of kiosk on the side of a street if we're talking about autonomous vehicles and etc. Yeah.
Exactly. You can look at the content creation. It might be a studio or virtual studio that is out in the middle of nowhere, and they have to have portable storage there. It might be a news someone in the news at a news bureau somewhere who would have to have access to content or want to bring content into the platform. There are a lot of needs for that. So yes, that edge storage, you know, whether they need to have the content right there local or whether they just need to have access to it, it just depending on usage, there are a variety of use cases. I can see that. And the storage platform has to be able to address that, whether it is the storage remote or whether it is accessibility remotely. Yes, that is a major thing moving forward.
Okay, I mean, we've covered a fair amount of ground. Is there anything else, anything else to cover in terms of what Spectra Logic's maybe up to? I mean, if you can give us any sort of hints as to maybe what's happening in the next few months, and or, you know, if there's a couple of thoughts to leave listeners, you know, as to where to start, and if they've got storage issues, how they go about analyzing what's going on and, you know, where the right solutions might be.
Yeah, so there are a couple of different aspects to that. From a Spectra perspective, you know, we've always been known for our innovative culture and staying in tune with the customer's need. In fact, a lot of our customers, you know, are the drivers, you know, of a lot of innovations that we've had over the years, and we continue to do that. With Spectra Logic, you know, as I mentioned earlier, we've stayed ahead of the curve many times throughout our history, and this time we've done, you know, we're doing it again. And rest assured, we're going to stay honed into the customer's needs relative to the market shift. So we continue to do a lot of development in that area. From technology perspective and all that, the content repositories and the storage management, it is an area where we're putting tremendous amount of focus on to make sure that from our end users' perspective, they have all the right tools to make sure that they can manage their storage and their content, and also to make sure that they have access to it regardless of where their users are and all that. So we will be putting, you know, moving forward, we hone in on the whole end-to-end solution from, you know, especially from technology perspective and user needs perspective. So we're going to make sure that for every enterprise, their users, not only we can perpetuate their content well into the future on open platforms where whether it is 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 100 years from now, that their content is perpetuated and that they can access it via standard tools that are available. No more proprietary anything. And then the other thing is to give them tools to make sure that the content will be available to their users regardless of where they are. So that intelligence and that orchestration of making content available to the users regardless of their location or regardless of where the data is basically a major focus of Spectra Logic. So stay tuned with us. You know, we have a lot of exciting new things that are going to be announced over a number of months and all that. And we will continue to innovate, and we'll continue to stay tuned to what our customers want and need from us and expect from us, more importantly. So couldn't give you any exact, obviously, information, but stay tuned. There are a lot of exciting stuff coming out.
No, that's great. I really appreciate your time, Hossein. Thank you very much indeed.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the time.